have a glass and a buzz where you can't even get past a certain thing. But again, it's not there. And I was in a rage. It's like, yeah, okay. Nah, you glad I wasn't there. You know that. Out of those elements, and because of how Uptown's energy was, yo, we street and da-da-da-da-da, it was like, okay, I took the couch at the elevator and dismissed the glass. So it's like, you don't have to buzz me in, I'm in.
What if I told you one of the smoothest voices of the New Jack era, a man who topped the R&B charts and starred in New Jack City, ended up blackballed, falsely accused of assault, and left fighting for his life after a coma no one believed he was even in? This is the real story of Christopher Williams. Born into chaos in the Bronx, abandoned by his father and nearly swallowed by the streets, he clawed his way into music history. He was that guy with the velvet voice, chart-topping hits, relationships with celebs like Stacey Dash, and the voice behind I'm Dreamin', a song still echoing through R&B playlists today. But while his star was rising, the industry was sharpening its knives. False tabloid scandals, mysterious injuries, fights with record labels, and rumors that nearly erased him from the game until he quietly disappeared altogether. Why did he snap at Uptown Records? Who really hurt Halle? And how did he survive being written off by Hollywood and hospitalized with kidney failure? This isn't just a music story, it's a survival story. And once you hear it all, you might never hear his music the same again. Christopher Williams wasn't born into stardom. He was born in 1967 deep in the Edenwald projects of the Bronx, where opportunity was scarce and survival was everything. His father, gone. His mother, struggling with addiction, in and out of jail. From an early age, Christopher learned the streets wouldn't save you, and that love, when it came, could be complicated.
Raised by his aunt and uncle, he found safety in an unlikely place: music. One of those caretakers was none other than jazz icon Ella Fitzgerald. It wasn't just inspiring, it was destiny being whispered into his ears. But inspiration wasn't armor. Christopher, like so many kids in the Bronx, got pulled into hustling. The money came fast, so did the danger. And when his best friend was murdered, something inside him shifted. That was the moment, the one that drew a clear line. Keep running with the streets and end up dead, or take a shot at something bigger. Music became his lifeline. He auditioned for and got into Harlem's High School of Music and Art, the same halls that shaped future legends. He didn't just sing, he commanded. That voice was undeniable. Teachers saw it, classmates heard it, and Christopher began to believe in it deeply. After high school, he headed to SUNY Purchase to keep chasing the dream. But before he could finish, real life hit. His girlfriend got pregnant. And instead of running from responsibility, Christopher made the hardest and most admirable choice. He dropped out, got a job, and focused on being a father. No label deal, no fan base, just hunger, hustle, and an R&B voice that was ready to explode. He wasn't chasing clout, he was chasing stability, for his son and for himself. Christopher didn't wait for an opportunity, he created it. After leaving college to support his son, he threw himself into music. Not just singing, grinding. He recorded demos in any studio that would let him in. He hit talent showcases, he networked with A&Rs and handed out tapes like flyers on a corner. If someone was listening, he was performing. If they weren't, he made them stop and listen, even just for a second. And finally, it worked. His break came through Geffen Records A&R Michael Rosenblatt, the same exec who helped discover Madonna. When Rosenblatt heard Christopher's demo, he didn't just hear talent, he heard potential. That same day, Christopher was invited into the building.
But Christopher wasn't done hustling. He wanted the right manager, so he did something bold, borderline crazy. He spotted music exec Cassandra Mills in public and walked straight up to her. No warning, no intro, just him and that voice. He started singing on the spot, not for attention, for a shot, and it worked. Mills signed him soon after and began shaping his image and plan. She didn't just manage him, she believed in him deeply. His debut single, Talk to Myself, hit number 4 on the R&B charts. His follow-up, Promises Promises, climbed to number 7. He had the look, the sound, the confidence, a voice smoother than silk, and a presence that demanded attention on every stage. Meanwhile, he started dating Stacey Dash, and his name hit the tabloids. Then came a bizarre twist. A hotel incident made headlines, but it was Al B. Sure, mistaken for Christopher, who took the heat. Mills managed the chaos, protecting his brand. From mixtapes to major charts, Christopher had officially arrived. Christopher Williams was rising fast, and then Hollywood came calling. In 1991, he landed a small but memorable role in the cult classic New Jack City, starring alongside Wesley Snipes, Ice-T, and Chris Rock. His role as Kareem Akbar wasn't huge, but it placed him in front of millions of new eyes and introduced his image to pop culture in a major way. Even more powerful, the soundtrack. His contribution, I'm Dreamin', wasn't just another R&B single, it was a moment. The track soared to number 1 on the Billboard R&B charts and became the biggest hit of his career. Smooth vocals, heartfelt delivery, it was Christopher at his absolute best. And for many, it was the song that defined the era. Suddenly, Christopher wasn't just an R&B singer, he was a star. But as the spotlight grew brighter, so did the shadows. Tabloids became obsessed with his every move. The relationship with Stacey Dash was paparazzi bait, but what stirred the most attention were the whispers behind the scenes. The 1989 hotel incident, the one that Al B. Sure was wrongly blamed for, refused to disappear. Though Mills kept Christopher's name out of the initial headlines, the public still talked. And where there's smoke, the media smelled fire. Then came the industry politics.
Christopher was pegged to be part of the next generation of R&B royalty. But behind the velvet curtains, he was clashing with executives. They wanted clean, controllable, and quiet. He was none of those things. He wasn't a puppet. He was an artist with opinions and the guts to speak them. By the early 90s, his fame was undeniable, but his position was fragile. He was on top, but the cracks were already forming, and soon they'd split wide open. By 1992, Christopher Williams had the industry in his hands, but behind the scenes, things were quietly unraveling. With Geffen shifting focus and MCA consolidating artists, Christopher signed with Uptown Records, home to R&B heavyweights like Mary J. Blige, Jodeci, and Heavy D. On paper, it looked like a dream setup. His second album, Changes, delivered fan-favorite singles like Every Little Thing You Do and All I See, keeping him in the R&B top 20 and cementing his role in the New Jack Swing era. But for Christopher, it wasn't enough. He didn't feel seen or supported by the label that was supposed to amplify him and invest in his vision. Things came to a head when MTV Unplugged cut his Teddy Pendergrass cover from the televised special. That performance was meant to be his moment. Instead, it vanished. For a vocalist who poured everything into delivery, it felt like erasure, a public silencing. Then came the breaking point. Christopher stormed into Uptown's offices and lost it. He reportedly screamed, broke equipment, and made it clear he was done. He wasn't just quitting a label, he was walking away from a machine he believed was using him while ignoring his voice. He attempted to come back through Giant Records, releasing Not a Perfect Man in 1995, but the magic was gone. The album underperformed, promotion fizzled, and the music world shifting hard toward hip-hop. Then came the darkest chapter, the rumor that he caused Halle Berry's ear injury. He denied it, pointed to Wesley Snipes, and received support from insiders, but the media didn't care. No evidence, no case, just a brutal headline that wouldn't die. His image crumbled, his career froze, he was blackballed, quietly, completely. But rock bottom, that's where the real story begins. After the scandals, the silence was deafening.
Christopher Williams disappeared from the mainstream almost overnight. No tours, no interviews, no radio play, no music videos. To the industry, he was finished. But behind the scenes, he wasn't broken, he was healing. He moved to Virginia, far from the buzz of New York and LA. He needed quiet, he needed space. Space to breathe, to reconnect with his faith, and to remember who he was outside of fame. For the first time in years, Christopher wasn't performing for anyone but himself. This wasn't a flashy comeback, it was a spiritual and emotional reset. He poured himself into acting, real acting. He performed off-Broadway, away from cameras and celebrity crowds. In the theater world, he wasn't the guy from New Jack City or the R&B heartthrob. He was a working actor, and he thrived in it. Slowly, music came back into his life, but differently. In 2001, he released Real Men Do, an album filled with honesty, reflection, and maturity. It didn't top charts, but that wasn't the goal. A decade later, he joined the gospel supergroup 5 Men for the album Champions, singing alongside faith-driven powerhouses like Wes Morgan, Melvin Williams, and others.
A rumor exploded. Christopher was in a coma. His team denied it. Fans dismissed it as clickbait. But the truth? He had suffered kidney failure and was placed in a medically induced coma. He lost weight, he couldn't walk, he had to relearn how to function. It wasn't just a health scare, it was a near-death experience that shook everything. But he pulled through. By 2024, he was back on stage, singing again, smiling again. In an interview with Willie D, he addressed everything: the coma, the rumors, the lies. He defended his name with strength and clarity. He didn't ask for sympathy. He didn't make excuses. He just reminded the world Christopher Williams never gave up. In 2024, Christopher Williams sat down with Willie D and dropped truth bombs that silenced decades of gossip. First, he addressed the long-standing Halle rumor. Firmly and calmly, he stated what he'd always maintained: "I didn't do that. I never laid a hand on her." He pointed again to Wesley Snipes as the one responsible, a claim echoed by others in the industry. But now, the words were his, direct, unfiltered, on record. Then, he tackled Jaguar Wright's explosive claim that he had been involved in a Diddy sex ring. Christopher, unbothered. "My deal with Uptown was before Diddy even had a pool like that," he said. "I don't know what she's talking about." Just like that, years of speculation gone in a sentence. But the biggest surprise? He revealed he had married Natalie McLaughlin back in 1995, and they're still legally married. Not just partners, but best friends. A love story hidden from the spotlight, kept sacred in a world that wanted everything exposed. For the first time in years, Christopher controlled the narrative. No noise, no spin, no rumors, just facts, just the truth. And one thing was clear: he's still here and still standing.